Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so today I have Luke Golden on the line, and he's a founder, teacher, writer, director, and producer over at Story Tree Films, and this interview is part of our AFM series where we bring you the best of those that attended and participated in American Film Market, which takes place in Los Angeles, California, or Century City, California this year. And Luke, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Fun to be here.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about today, so definitely got to get into what you're doing over at Story Tree Films. But before we get into that, AFM, talk to me. How was the experience for you?
Well, this experience was fun. I met some wonderful people, but I did feel like it was a little doom and gloom. There seemed to be a lot of fear. So I like to think of that as an opportunity rather than a crisis, but definitely people are rethinking the movie business. So I'm hoping this is going to be opening some doors for us independent producers.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you think about the panel? Did you attend any of the workshops or panels or any of that stuff? I'm curious.
I sure did. That was probably my favorite part. Those panelists were great. And I felt like I really got a beat on what's going on in the industry. So I love the panels. I attended a lot of them that dealt with AI, which I think really, it's kind of like two sides. On one side, it's like we're terrified, but on the other side, this is going to be a brave new world, and we're going to be able to do things we were never able to do before. So I'm excited, actually.
I got to ask you, man, where do you sit on the AI question? I'm going there, Luke. I can't help it. And I'm not saying and by the way, I've been getting swayed. It's like every interview. I'm telling my audience, I'm not trying to be wishy-washy, but some people talk me into it. Some talk me out of it. I can't help it. I'm still figuring it out.
Hey, it's on everyone's mind. I mean, I swear.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on it, just in general? I'm not holding you to like any finality. Don't worry. I'm just curious what you think.
Well, as an independent producer, there's tools there that are going to save millions of dollars. So on one level, I'm really excited about it, but I'm also terrified of the evil that's going to be done. I mean, I just feel like they're going to steal people's voices, steal people's images, and it's going to be a wild west out there. I really hope they regulate it well. That's what I'm hoping for, but I feel like the optimist in me is really excited. The pessimist in me is like, we are in for the biggest shift ever, and be prepared, buckle up. It's going to be terrifying. So I'm smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, that's what it's interesting. So I've had this conversation where people are telling us that you just reminded me of it, and it's like, well, and what the person told me, they said something like, I'm not going to be able to say it as eloquently as they did. They're like, Adam, they said that when it was going from a silent film, and then now there's audio, and that's going to ruin it. Then it went to color. That's like all these different marks of when it's going to, like, how things are going to be ruined. But ultimately, I don't know if somebody likes what somebody's putting out. There's always these breakthrough movies and things like this. So it's like, in theory, it progresses the craft on some level as a whole. Yeah. Not saying that I'm be able to say it as well as this gentleman put it to me, but I'm like, yeah, that's true. I guess every time there is something new, we're always like, that's kind of human nature, right? Like, we're like, yeah, the sky's going to have to fall, right?
Yeah. I mean, I as a teacher, I'm thinking I got to teach my kids how to deal with AI. My kids are against it so much. The students that I'm dealing with,
really?
They are so resistant. I mean, I'm a little bit more open to it than them.
Hold on. Tell me more about that. I haven't heard that. I don't get to talk to many people that are in the trenches in high school, so to speak. Tell me more about that.
Well, I think kids are realizing that they're missing out on the struggles of not using AI, and it makes things too facile, too easy.
Wow.
So I feel like they like when I say, okay, especially my art students, I know I have animation classes, I have film classes. They want to write their own stuff. They want to shoot their own stuff. So I get it. They're still idealistic. They don't know how much it costs to make a movie. So they're like, I see that. I'm hopeful that it's going to save money, particularly on my project. I want to make my movie, and I feel like this might be an opportunity to do it. And so I'd have the students be on the film production, and they would learn AI and use it wisely and ethically. I mean, I think that's really the goal. It's like, let's use it ethically. We got to have guardrails, though, and that's the thing.
I never thought about that concept that you mentioned, though, too, about it kind of makes, you didn't use this word, but I'm using it, like, it might make us a little lazy. So think about it. If you're young, like not their high school age, but let's just say you're younger than that, and when you're first like really learning how to do some output, and you immediately put that piece onto AI, and part of your process just becomes like, you know what I mean? Like, then how do you develop that next piece that really like growth painful, like, because that you need, maybe pain's the wrong word, but I don't know, you need to be able to stretch yourself in some way. So I guess
Absolutely.
that's interesting. Does it stunt your growth at that age? I don't know.
Well, no, learning, there's a thing called the zone of proximal influence. I'm going to get into the educational weeds right now. And this is the moment.
Give me it, Luke. That's what I was waiting for. Go.
And this is something I learned when I went to school to be a teacher. And it's that moment where you're learning, you're struggling. And in that zone, it's uncomfortable. It's like that's where you learn, is by pushing yourself out of that. And then eventually you're like, oh, yeah, I know how to do that. And then you move further. But, learning is always going to be a little painful like that. And that's funny because that's kind of the theme of my movie. But yeah, like I really believe if
AI kind of alleviates part of that pain, maybe, I'm not saying always, but like maybe then, that becomes interesting.
Well, I think that
does it stunt us? I don't know.
I think AI should stay out of like creating content. I think it should be more about enhancing creative content rather than generating it. I mean, my students, they have a barometer like that looks like AI, and they're so resistant to it. But that's ugly. That's awful. Like they can see when something is AI generated, and they're repulsed by it. So
well, let's switch it up a bit. You're working on a movie. Also, I know that you're doing a raise right now to begin some production.
Yeah.
How do you want to tee this up? How do you want to set this up, your film?
Well, I have two things. I have my company, which is Storytree Films, and that's like where I want to get students to work on films, and we want to create a teaching film studio. And the film that's going to launch it is Hard Lessons. And so I have a lot of things set up with financiers, with production companies, with a lot of people who really want to give to education. And the thing that I need right now is equity. So what I want to do is I have a 501c3. It's a not-profit status. So anyone who donates to my project will get money back on their taxes. And all we need is $50,000 to launch it. And that's where we're going to be able to start making this movie and getting students working on projects. And so my goal is to do one movie, then the next movie, then the next movie. So this particular project is called Hard Lessons. It's pretty marketable. It's a horror movie, teen horror movie. Do you want me to pitch it?
Yeah, no, go. Continue.
Okay, so what if a school system hired a madman to torture students into becoming better people? So this concept is that after there's this mass shooting that turns all schools across America into more or less prisons, everyone, there's one school in particular where the kids have had enough and they fight back. And so they break into the school, they sabotage the computer system, but it's really a setup because there's this sadistic teacher that teaches them horrific lessons one by one, each based on Aesop's fables. And so it turns out that these kids were targeted because they thought they were going to cause a school shooting, and the government has created this character to torture them into not doing that, to keeping students safe. So it's like this ethical quandary about whether it's okay to torture students if you're going to save lives. So it kind of gets into the weeds in terms of ethical murkiness. And then the schoolmaster character is like a Freddy Krueger type character. It's like you imagine your worst teacher you've ever had crossed with Freddy Krueger. That's this character. But it turns out it's all done as aversion therapy to make these kids not a threat anymore.
Dang.
And so that's what we're trying to raise money for. And it's political. It's got a little bit of the school shooting. But I'll tell you this, my students want to talk about it. Nobody in Hollywood wants to talk about it. Students want to talk about it because they're afraid every day. There's this little voice in the back of their head. They're like, is this the day it's going to be a school shooting? And statistically, it's not going to happen. But because it's in the culture, because they see it on the news, this is definitely a fear that they're wrestling with.
How did you come up with the idea for this? Like, where did this start for you?
This started a while ago, and a producer was saying, we were talking over lunch, and he was saying, I want to do a movie, that it's easy. I said, what if it's Breakfast Club meets Saw? And he's like, you write that movie, I can sell that. That producer
Breakfast Club meets Saw, you're right.
And that's what it is. It's really that, because each one of the kids are from the different cliques. They come together in detention. They had enough. They overthrow the system, but then they're kind of tortured like the Jigsaw character one by one.
Man, that's awesome.
But
that's great. I can't wait to continue to follow this story and to see it progress. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Breakfast Club meets Saw. Very memorable. I like it.
Cool. And so that's what we want to do. We want to make marketable films, and horror in particular is really good for kids because I've been teaching for 19 years now, and one of the things I do in my classes, I put on film festivals, and now I do like at least 3 film festivals a year. And I tell you my students are doing short films for this film festival, and the genre they go over and over again is horror. And so I have like a Halloween themed festival that's only horror because the kids just love it. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to get the kids involved in it, because it's the thing they love. And how do you get kids engaged? How do you get kids wanting to be a part of something? Have them do stuff they love, because another big problem I'm seeing as a teacher is the mental health. The kids they're disengaged, they're full of anxiety, they have ADHD that's keeping their focus off. But if they have something that they can kind of say, this is cool, I want to be a part of it, that's when they really learn. That's when, because it's all like project-based, and this is the kind of thing that education is saying, but it's also tied into the movie industry. I kind of have this, I'm kind of like the Colossus of Rhodes, where I have one foot in the film industry and one foot in the education industry, and I try to act as a translator. And let me tell you, these two industries, these two organizations, they speak very different languages.
Yeah, I can see that. How do you manage? You got a lot of different projects going on. You're also working with students, and how do you manage to move these things forward?
Well, because I'm passionate myself. I wanted to be a part of film since I was 7 years old. So being able to shepherd kids, that's the best.
How do you know fun. That? Wait, 7 years old. What was was there a moment? Was there a film that influenced you, or?
E.T.
That's the one. I love that.
Yeah.
You saw it and you're what was the thought? You're like, I got to make something, or, or I want to do this. What was the thought, if you remember?
It wasn't even a thought. It was an emotional response. I mean, I saw that movie 3 times in the theater, and the first time I saw it, I was so emotionally overwhelmed by Elliot and his friendship with E.T. that I got sick. I got physically sick because I couldn't manage my emotions. And so then I went again with my family, and I watched it, and I started crying uncontrollably. It was another kind of pathological response. I was like, oh my God, so sad, E.T., whatever. And I was going crazy. And then I saw it a third time. I cried a little bit. It was a much healthier experience. This is the greatest experience of my life, this emotional experience. And film is an emotional medium. And so I knew I had to be a part of this world.
Yeah, nothing else like it. That's interesting. This has been great, Luke. Really, I even got an E.T. story in reference out of you. That's amazing. This has been a great interview.
It all goes back to Spielberg.
Yeah. If so, how do people? You mentioned that you're doing a race for production. Otherwise, how do people connect? How do they follow your work? How do they follow your films? How do people connect?
Okay, so StorytreeFilms.com. What I would advise people to do is go to StorytreeFilms.com directly to Hard Lessons. That's what we're doing right now. You can read the log line. You can read the synopsis. We have a nice movie poster that's done that looks really cool. And then if you want to reach out to me, info@StorytreeFilms.com. And then we have both a donor model and we have an investor model. Donor, we have the 501c3. $50,000. I can get 5,000 people to donate $10, or I can get 50 people to donate $1,000. So I'm open to anyone who wants to be a part of our mission.
Awesome. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes, so you can just click on the links and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, this is a daily show, meaning each and every day we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey. So it's a daily show. Hit that subscribe or follow. Lots of great interviews planned, and we don't want you to miss a thing. Luke, man, appreciate all you're doing and can't wait to see these films come out. So thanks again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.